On Tuesday, the 15th of February, I was in the Tuesday meeting, and the Lord began to show me a vision a little bit differently than normal. I had started to see a rock, a boulder actually, a huge boulder bursting open. And then I sat down to the table to draw with my kids, and the Lord kind of encouraged me to draw this scene. And what the scene was a boulder coming down a hill, crossing over a river, and then there was a little small, very, very simple house that I would liken to like a little cabin back on the pioneer days, type of simple home. And the boulder didn't make it all the way to the home in this scene. Anyway, what was different this time is that the Lord had said to me that He wanted me to tell me what I thought that this picture or vision was. And so I started to, in my own human mind and my own human wisdom, sort of just make guesses at it, what it seemed to me. And after I did that, the Lord began to show me a vision of what it really was. And I actually had it all wrong. And I do believe that the Lord was trying to just express that, we cannot be trying to understand the Spirit or to understand the Lord in our own human mind and intellect and wisdom. It cannot be done. It has to be done through the Spirit. So anyways, after I had seen it this one way, the Lord began to show me the vision of what it was meant to be. And it was interesting because it was very wrong. I was very wrong in my own human intellect and my human mind. And just out of simply guessing what it seemed like to mean to me, just by looking at it and seeing it as a picture. But when the Lord began to reveal it to me, I had just got it backwards. Anyway, so when the Lord started to show me the vision, it started with a man picking up I would say a pebble-sized rock out of a river bank or a creek, and he threw it as hard as he could with just an enormous amount of strength. And the pebble began to, it was actually like oblong shaped, but it began to roll down, roll over hills and in valleys and things like that. And I believe that it represented a series of time going by. And then what happened next was there were all these rocks, small rocks again, maybe 2 inches big, on the sides of these grassy mountains as hills, as this pebble was rolling by. And the rocks on the side of the hill became living stones. So they actually got up and had little stone legs, and it's almost like they went along the roadside. There was no road, but it was like they went along the roadside and waited for this pebble to come rolling by, and then they jumped onto the pebble and they would attach themselves. Now, when they would attach themselves, you could see their figure, holding on almost to this pebble. But as time went on, the many living stones sort of, their shape went into this rock that ends up being this huge boulder, but it fits in it perfectly and sort of melds together so that you can't see the figure anymore. It's just one solid piece. And so this happens over and over and over again. These living stones jump aboard and attach themselves to this boulder as time goes by and as the boulder continues to roll. And then by the time it gets to this picture that I had drawn to where it's coming down, you can see that this huge boulder has kept itself together, but there were some cracks in it. But it was by no means falling apart or, broken or anything like that. Anyways, so in this scene, you see the boulder start to go down this embankment. It's like this hill, and it starts to go towards this house. There's a river in front of it that is going down a hill facing me. So the river is kind of running down a hill facing me, the vision, where I'm seeing the vision from. And the boulder is actually coming from the left side, like on top of a hill. Like if I was, I wish I knew north, south, east, west. I guess it was coming from the west, and I guess the water was coming from maybe the south. Anyway, so the water, obviously, when it runs through a river or a creek, this is more like a creek. It reminded me, it was smaller anyway. It could have been a river, but it was smaller. Obviously, it runs downhill. But what happened was the water started to go a way that was unnatural for it to flow. So the natural earthly way of the water flowing, and its, obviously natural senses, it started to reverse and go the opposite way of what it was naturally doing. And by the time the big boulder rolled over to where the river was, the river had just accumulated so much force that the water sort of sprang up and it threw this boulder into the air. And as it did that with so much power and so much force, this boulder completely broke apart. So what happened next was this man burst forth out of this stone, out of this boulder. And he was an Indian, a native American, well, not Native American, because I don't know if this was America, but he was Native Indian. And he began to immediately pull arrows out of a bag on his back and began to shoot them at this house. And he sprang out doing this, just ready. And he was a warrior. And light came out from him. He was strong and able and full of just the ability to do what he was supposed to do. You could just see he was determined, ready, no fear, a warrior. It was just this beautiful sight. So he begins to arrow after arrow after arrow, shoot it at this house. And those weren't the only weapons that he had. He had hatchets, so he was throwing hatchets. He had spears, he was throwing spears, swords. He just was throwing all these weapons at this house. And as he started doing this, that you could see that snakes were coming out of this house. And that's what he was aiming for. Anyway, so he just, with all these weapons, starts to attack and kill all these snakes. And the very last thing that I saw was that one has started to get away. And it was actually the earth that caught that snake and swallowed it up. And what I mean is, just the grass on the hill grew up where he was slithering off to, that grew up out of the ground and just grabbed it and basically swallowed the snake whole. And this is where the vision ended.